There's a gathering of spirits, there's a festival of friends, and we'll take up where we left off when we all
Welcome. Welcome to On the Way, Tales of Travel and Transformation. This evening of storytelling is part of the 35th anniversary Jamboree celebration of Journeys International, which is a local Ann Arbor company that has been offering worldwide nature and culture adventures for 35 years. My name is Weber Pollak, and I'm the president of Journeys International. And I'm so honored to have the chance to start our 35th anniversary celebration with all of you. In the room tonight, we have a lot of people who are very important to us. We have tonight here Nawang Sherpa and Pemba Sherpa, whose father, Pemba, you saw was our partner in starting Journeys. And we also have 20 of our partners who operate trips and are good friends, dear family members to us all around the world. If you're one of our partners who operates Journeys trips around the world, will you just raise your hand? Thank you guys so much. Thank you. We also have about, I think, more than 50 people in this room. Yeah, all you travelers, raise your hands. We're really, really, really appreciative that you have made the trip from across the country to be here today and this weekend and to celebrate with us. Lastly, I want to recognize all of you here who may or may not have traveled with Journeys before, but are here because you're interested in travel and you're interested in stories. To us at Journeys, travel is about personal connection. And so we thought, how could we share what we do at Journeys with the Ann Arbor community in a way that really captures, not just making a pitch to take a trip, but captures that personal element of travel. And storytelling, I think, brings it home. Storytelling is a way of honing in on what's really essential about travel. So I appreciate that all of you are here and value that too, and that we can enjoy a wonderful evening of stories together. We've picked out 7 stories tonight that get at all different angles of travel. Some of the best, some that you hope won't happen on your trip, but all add to the big picture of what can change your perspective about travel. And so we hope you'll have fun with the stories we have. Please do turn off your cell phones, no calls, also no texting, please, because the light can be distracting. And we'll settle in for a great night. We're really honored to have Allison Downey as our host tonight. She is very accomplished. I want to make sure I say all the important things about Allison. Allison is an award-winning storyteller and educator, and she will take us all around the world within the walls of this theater. She hosts and co-produces The Living Room, Michigan Radio's storytelling series. She's a Story Slam winner for The Moth and a main stage performer for The Moth. She's been on stage all over telling stories that I love. I've gotten to hear a couple of them, and we'll hear another one tonight. Allison is married to musician and business consultant John Austin, who's here in the room, and is mother to 4-year-old superhero Michael. I'm going to turn it over to Allison, and she's going to, you'll be in her capable hands for the rest of the evening. So thank you, Allison.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Robin, for that lovely introduction. And was it just me, or did you all have tears in your eyes at that movie? Wasn't that incredible? Wow. That's not what I was going to say, but I just saw it, and it was so incredible. It was so moving. It's such an honor to be here tonight. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see all of you and your faces, and now hear how many of you are involved in Journeys, how many of you are actually from around Ann Arbor and traveled there tonight. Yes, thank you so much for coming when you had so many other things to do on a Friday night in Ann Arbor. There's millions. I live in Kalamazoo. There aren't quite as many. So thank you for coming out. And for those of you that traveled from the far reaches of the world, thank you, thank you, thank you. So tonight is about travel and transformation. We're looking at stories that maybe changed our perspective, epiphanies, questions raised. And so tonight we are going to be having stories that will take us to places all over the world. We're going to go to Kilimanjaro. We're going to look at a bird in Guatemala, an exotic bird. We're going to see a shaman in Ecuador. We're going to leaf through pages of a scrapbook in Burma. We are going to maybe get stuck in some garbage in Nice. We are going to end up witnessing a medical procedure in Nepal. And of course, we're going to get stuck in customs, like we do. So we're going to go to all these places with these really capable, fabulous storytellers. But I did want to share with you a story of my own about an experience that changed my approach to travel. So I am 21 years old and have just fallen madly in love with travel. It was like my oxygen, you know. It was intoxicating. It was necessary. I couldn't get enough of it. I had my own motto, and it went like this: travel at all cost, for no cost. Which was really convenient because I was broke. I was at the end of a 3-week Eurail backpacking trip around Europe with Bill from home. And we had just fallen in love in Florence. You know, who doesn't fall in love in Florence, right? We'd made the motto work for us. We had been swimming off the coast of the Italian Riviera. We'd been up the Duomo. We'd seen the Mona Lisa on $20 a day. Now, we had slept on trains and in youth hostels. We'd eaten a lot of bread and cheese. We did have the occasional treat of the leftovers on the plates in the fancy dining cars. But we had 2 days left, and we're desperate to soak up every last experience that we could. So instead of going directly to Rome, our last stop before heading home, we just had to make a pit stop in Venice for a gondola ride, and we would catch a train to Rome from there. So we're gliding down the Venetian canals with a hunk of cheese and bread and a big jug of Italian cheap wine and my beat-up old guitar with a hole in the back. And we're looking up at this shimmering moon in this midnight blue sky. The water is glistening. Our gondola driver is serenading us. And when he's not, we're serenading each other. It was magical. And it was worth every penny, which was really good because it took about all our pennies. But this was the reason that I travel, this love for travel at all cost, for no cost. But then we decide that we need to make a little bit of extra cash. We have the time, but we completely lose track of time because we decide to busk on a bridge that's outside the train station. And it was like we were creating our own, creating our own soundtrack to our own movie, our independent film of love and love of travel, but it comes to this abrupt stop. Everybody's dancing, everybody's singing in these Italian accents, and then suddenly this woman in front of us starts disrobing into this striptease, and it kind of descends from there where it was our cue to hightail it out of there to try to catch our train. But like I said, we had lost track of time because of the wine and then the striptease. And we raced down the steps to the tracks, and there's our train, getting smaller and smaller, and the lights getting dimmer until there's no train at all. And we stand there in this fog of disbelief, intoxicated disbelief, that the last train to Rome had just departed. So apparently for us that night, no roads led to Rome. And we found out that there was one train left that was leaving for Nice, which we heard was nice. So we resigned ourselves to spend our last night on the French Riviera. So we're walking down the cobblestone streets in Nice. It's 2 a.m. It's past curfew for the youth hostels. I couldn't justify spending our hard-earned cash on a hotel for just a few hours. So I have this great idea that we would spend the night, our last night, on the public beach. We'd just sleep there in our sleeping bags. It would be romantic. So we're walking down the cobblestone, past the closing quaint little cafes and the street cleaners in their orange jumpsuits that are hosing down the sidewalks and the streets from the caked-on debris from the restaurants and bars. And we get to the end of the street, and there's this sheer drop-off, and we hop down with our backpack and guitar onto the pebbled beach. There to the right is a fence, and on the other side is one of those fancy, fancy resorts, you know, the kind with the raked sand beaches and the comfortable lounge chairs. And it was really tempting. I mean, we were tired. It was tempting. But, you know, we had just way too much dignity to sneak in to a resort and spend the night there. So we curl up in our sleeping bags on the rocks and fall right to sleep. Next thing I know, I am jolted awake by this deafening roar and what feels like I'm being pummeled by millions of little needles. I'm being rolled around. I'm aware of wetness, the sensation of wetness, and this terrible stench. And I get up out of my sleeping bag, and suddenly the roar and the needles stop. I feel myself dripping. I open my eyes, and there's Bill, my new beloved, covered in garbage and soaking wet. And by his expression, so am I. We turn to look at the street, completely bewildered, and there is a man in an orange jumpsuit with a dripping hose just looking at us. And it dawns on us that we have just been hosed with the slime from the street, and we don't know if he intentionally targeted us or if this was protocol for the night, but we do know that we really stink. And at this point, it's kind of hard to make a case for dignity. So we climb over the fence to the fancy resort and set up ourselves on the fancy lounge chairs way apart from each other because we couldn't stand the smell of each other. Again, I fall asleep. Again, I'm jolted awake, but this time by the swift kicks in the ribs from the garçon who's busily raking the white sand beaches for the customers who will come out with their mimosas. And Bill and I kind of stumble up, bleary-eyed, bushy-tailed, reeking like drowned rats, and we're climbing, scaling, slinking over this fence with our garbage-strewn luggage, when it occurs to me two things. One, Nice is not so nice. And two, we paid quite a heavy price for traveling at all cost for no cost. I was still in love with travel, but I needed a new motto. And that is my story of my transformation while traveling. Thank you. Yes, Robin has assured me that Journeys has a different motto, and that I can guarantee you that your accommodations will be significantly more comfortable and more hygienic than those of my youth, which I'm really happy about because I hope to take a Journeys vacation sometime soon. Our next story.